viewers, we are going to continue with our lesson series on quadratic equation. So in this top video, we are going to be continuing on how to resolve a quadratic equation. So one of the method we are going to do, the method we are going to be looking at in this video is the completely square method of a quadratic equation. Remember in our previous video when we did about factorization method, I told you that there are four methods of resolving a quadratic equation. The first one is the formula method. The second one, which we are about to do now, is the complete square method. The third one is the formula method. The fourth one is the graphical method. So those are the four methods you can use to resolve a quadratic equation altogether. Now let's continue. In resolving a quadratic equation using the complete square method is a very simple concept, which I believe I'm going to demystify and break it down into the smallest digestible pieces here in this video. Okay, now there are some quadratic equations that you cannot simplify with the idea of factorization method. For example, this question on the board, if you are very familiar or if you have watched the lesson of factorization method of a quadratic equation, you agree with me that this question on the board, 2x squared plus 6x minus 2, is not factorizable. Are you together? So quadratic equation that cannot be resolved or whose solution cannot be found using factorization method are usually solved by completing the square method. Are you together? Or sometimes, even though the quadratic equation can be resolved by factorization method, your examiner or your teacher can specify that you should resolve the quadratic equation with the completing square method. So in such a scenario, what are you going to do, or are you going to help yourself out? It's very simple. It's just for you to sit down and watch this video to the end, as I'll come back after this very short break to tell you the secret of handling equation under completing the square method of a quadratic equation. Alright, welcome from that short break. So let's continue with our lessons on completing the square method. I told you that before that short break that when we come back, I'll tell you the steps, right? So method, you need just 6 steps. Just 6 steps. After those 6 steps, nothing you can't do again. Are you together? So the first step is that whenever you have a quadratic equation, the first step, you take your c to the other side. Remember that if I should write the general format of a quadratic equation, ax squared plus bs plus c equals to 0. So the first step, I'll take my c to the right hand side. So I'll have ax squared plus bs equals to minus c. That is the first step. The second step is that I'll try to make a unity. Making a unity means that I'll try to make the coefficient of x squared 1. If it is minus 1, I'll try to make it positive 1. It must be positive 1. Are you together? That is the second step. So in doing that, I'll divide through by a. So it shows that this will cancel this. Let's just get with 1 as a coefficient. So plus bs over a equals to minus a over c. That is the second step. The third step is that you add to both sides the square of the half of the coefficient of x. Now the coefficient of x is b over a, right? So what I will do is that the coefficient b over 2, I will b over a. I will multiply half it. Half it means divide by 2, right? So I'll half it, then raise it to the power of 2. So I'll be having b over 2a all squared. So this value, I'll add it to both sides. So that is the third step. I will have as squared plus bs over a plus b over 2a all squared equals to minus c over a plus b over 2a all squared. That is the third step. Now the fourth step is that, assuming there are real numbers, I will continue to simplify the right hand side till I have one term. Are you together? When I finally have one term, the fifth step I will now do is that I will pick out the squared items in the left hand side and equate it to the right hand side. Now the squared item in the left hand side is s squared and this, true or false. So I'll pick it out and I'll equate it to this. Now when I equate it to this, I'll take the square root of both sides to eliminate the squares. Are you together? When I eliminate the square, from there I'll start solving till I have my final answer. It's as simple as that. So let's All these 6 steps I just did, let's apply them in solving this question on the board. Are you together? So remember that the first step in resolving a quadratic equation using the completing square method is to take seat over to the right hand side. So I have 2s squared plus 6s equals to 2. Remember, when negative sign causes the equality sign become positive. That is the first step. Step 1, let me number it for you to know. Step 1. Now step 2 is that I'll divide, make the coefficient of x unity, right? When I mean unity, it means that the coefficient of x must be 1. How can that be achieved? It's by me dividing 2 by 2. So when I want to make this unity of coefficient of x squared 1, it's not for me to divide 2 by what? By 2, which is the word coefficient here already. So in doing that, this is step 2. In doing that, this will cancel this, I left with just s squared plus this will cancel this, I left with just 3s equals to 1. This is the this came as a result of step 2. Are you together? Now step 3, what is step 3? Remember, I'll add to both sides the square of the half of the coefficient of s. Now from this step 2, what is the coefficient of s here? 3, right? So what is the square of the half of the coefficient of s? So we have 3. The coefficient of s here is 3, right? Times 1 over 2 all squared. So 3 times 1 is 3 all over 2 all squared. This is the the square of the half of the coefficient of s we are going to add to both sides. So in doing that, we are going to be having s squared plus 3s. So we want to add the square of the half of the coefficient of s now, plus 3 over 2 all squared equals to 1 plus 3 over 2 all squared. So remember, this is step 3. This is our step 3, right? So if we should continue from there, what we are going to do now is that, remember, the first step is that we'll continue to simplify the right hand side till we have a single term. So with that, I'll try to pretend to forget about my left hand side. Let me continue solving this. I have 1 plus this fraction is squared, right? So 3 raised by 2 is the same as 9 over 2 raised by 2 is equal to 4. So I'll continue to simplify my right hand side till I have a single term. So if here is over 1, what is the LCM of 1 and 4? 4. 1 into 4 is 4. 4 times 1 is what? 4. Plus 4 into 4 is 1. 1 times 9 is what? Is 9. So finally, I'll be having 4 plus 9 is 13. I'll be having 13 over 4. So let's fill up this place. Let's fill here up. Let's fill here up. Let's fill here up. Let's fill here up. Okay. So this is my step 4. Are you together? This is my step 4. So what is my step 5? My step 5 says I should pick out the squared items. So what are the squared items? These are the squared items here, right? I'll pick out the squared item and equate it to my final answer from step 4. So that's it. So I'll pick out s squared plus 3 over 4 squared is equals to 13 over 4. So when I've got into this place, remember both of them are having the power of 2. I'll pick it, I'll write it, re-express this as s plus 3 over 4 bracket close 2 equals to 13 over 4. Are you together? Now when we have got into this place, my target is to eliminate this power of 2. Please permit me to clean this part of the board. My target is to eliminate the power of 2. So eliminating the power of 2, that can only be possible, of course you know that is our step 6. So that can only be possible for me to take the square root of both sides. Now whenever you are taking the square root of both sides, so you do this plus minus. Remember that the reason for this plus minus is because the square root of every number have 2 values, the positive and negative value. If I ask you now what is the square root of 4, I know you'll be fast to tell me 2, but do you know that you are partially not correct in this question? So the square root of 4 is plus or minus 2. Plus or what? Minus 2. How? Plus 2 times plus 2 is equals to plus 4. Plus times plus is plus. 2 times 2 is 4. Minus 2 times minus 2 is equals to plus 4, because minus times minus is plus. 2 times 2 is 4. So the square root of every number has 2 values, the positive and negative value. So that's the reason when you are taking the square root of both sides at this point, you must put your plus or minus. Are you together? So these are our step 5. If these are step 6. These are step 6. Yeah, these are step 6. While this was our step 5, where we pick out the squared item from both sides. So at this point, This square root is cancel this square. We are left with x plus 3 over 4 equals to plus minus square root 13 over 4. So at this point now, our target is to make x subject of formula. So making x subject of the formula, we'll pick 3 over 4 over to the other side. Now anytime you are making x subject of formula, this item that you are taking to this side should always be at the front between the equality sign and the plus or minus. You should not take it to this part altogether. You should always be at this word, at this point. Okay, so if you understand that, let's go. X is equals to minus 3 over 4 plus minus square root 13 over 4 altogether. So at this point, x is equals to minus 3 over 4 plus minus square root 13. Of course, you know the square root of 4 is what? Is 2. So let's continue. Let's find 3 over 4 plus minus square root of 13 is what? Square root of 13. Square root of 13 is approximately 3.6 over 2. So at this point, we can now split it, this plus minus, to say s is equals to minus 3 over 4 plus 3.6 divided by 2, or minus 3 over 4 minus 3.6 all over 2. I hope you are following, right? So if you have gotten to this point, you are almost at your answer. Okay, so now let's continue. If we should continue, we are going to have LCM of 4 and 2 is 4. So we have s is equal to LCM 4 or 4. So 4 into 4 is 1. 1 times minus 3 is minus 3 plus 2 into 4 is 2. 2 times 3.6, that will give us 7.2. Altogether 7.2. So the same thing will apply here, but just that the sign between them will be different. Minus 3 minus 7.2. So now let's continue. S is equals to minus 3. Minus 3 plus 7.2 is equals to 4.2 over 4. Or minus 3 minus 7.2 is equals to minus 10.2 all over 4. Very, very, very simple, right? So now let's continue. You can try to leave the answer like this, or you can go further by saying s is equals to 4.2 divided by 4 will give us 1.05, or minus 10.2 divided by 4 will give us minus 2.55. So that is how to solve problem under completely square method of a quadratic equation. So we have gotten our answer again. It's as simple as that altogether. So remember, there are just 6 steps you need to memorize in resolving equation under completely square method. And those six steps are: number 1, you take your constant to the right hand side. Number 2, try to make your a unity, that is the coefficient of your s square 1. The third step is that you add to both sides the square of the half of the coefficient of s. Now your first step is that you continue to resolve your right hand side till you have a single term. So when you have your single term, your fifth step will be to pick out the squared item in the left hand side and equate it to the right hand side. Then your sixth step will be to take the square root of both sides to eliminate the square. Are you together? So when you eliminate the square, it's just simple for you. It's just simple. When you eliminate the square, you take it to this point. It's not for you to make s subject of formula. So remember, whenever you are making s subject of formula, the value you are taking to the right hand side must be between the equality sign and the plus minus. And also remember that whenever you are taking the square root of both sides, always remember to put your plus minus at your right hand side. So if you follow this step diligently, I believe that you will be able to solve problem concerning completing the square method of a quadratic equation. It is as simple as that altogether. So if you understand that, I believe if you understand that there's no question pertaining to complete the square method of a quadratic equation you can resolve. So at this junction, I will bring this video to an end, and I will advise you that you should please subscribe to my channel, follow and share this video to a friend who will also find this video useful. So bye till I meet you in my next video, where we shall be looking at the formula method of resolving a quadratic equation.